Take a Ride podcast. I'm your host here, Starks. You can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, One Closing Hero. I'm not here alone this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be in the fantasy world. I have the combo guard running the two, Jacob, the White Knight. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, brother. Just getting excited for the Zion return that's happening soon. So can't wait to talk about that.
Absolutely. Not only him, but we have LT the Sage running the wing at the 3 spot. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. Kyrie came back with a flurry of shots yesterday. I love to see it. His shoulder looks fine to me.
Right.
Yeah, I bet. Yes, we'll go down that rabbit hole here pretty soon, I'm sure. So this episode, before we get into it, we're going to talk about some relevant news here for the first quarter. Then for the second quarter, we're going to talk about if there is something in the Sage trade rumor mill on the second quarter, third quarter. We might touch up on relevant games. And then I'll also put in a bonus on players that are we going to hold on and maybe potentially sell high on as far as the last month of what type of ADP ranking that they're putting as far as that goes. And then fourth quarter will kind of tie into the clutch shots. As you guys know, we will touch up on anything that pops up as we're recording. And the Dynasty Outlook player that I definitely want to talk about here is Wendell Carter Jr. So stay tuned for that. So if you guys make sure you check out newlifefantasy.com, join as a member, join or subscribe to the mailing list. It helps our online site to continue to grow. Jacob is putting the hard work with the articles. LT is working on the NBA power rankings as well. I'm working on an article to be released this week for sure. Dynasty Fighter, I do apologize, guys. It should be done here Thursday. Be looking forward to that. That's my birthday gift to you guys, so look forward to that. Mike had just released a fantasy baseball article for rookies, so you guys got to definitely check that out. He's going to be on the podcast here as a special guest here next week, so be on the lookout for that. Make sure you guys Sub-Zero, subscribe that button on YouTube. Hit the bell. It's dinner time. Comment below. Make sure you guys give us a thumbs up, as LT's putting the hard work behind that. And as well, subscribe to the podcast. Spread the wealth. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Let them know about us, and it helps us out. So with that being said, I'm officially ready to take people on for a ride. And for the first quarter, Jacob, if you want to run that offense there, brother.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you. So for recent news, we're going to talk about the aforementioned Zion Williamson is reportedly planning to make his regular season debut on Thursday against the Jazz. Now, this all depends on how he practices this week. And somewhere Allen Iverson is rolling in his grave, even though he's still alive, like practice. But, I guess they need to see how he runs and if he can run right, if he can stay in a straight line, right, LT?
Oh, for sure, because, that's hard to do for someone that's been running their whole life, right?
Exactly. So I'm going to kick it over to you, LT, since you are the Brandon Ingram expert. Zion, it is said that he's going to play very limited minutes, quote unquote, once he does come back. So do you sell Brandon Ingram super high right now, or do you just hold him and expect him to just produce like he has been?
Oh yeah, you definitely hold Brandon Ingram. Like I said, unfortunately, not even unfortunately, but he is on the cusp of being a NBA superstar. He's on the cusp. I didn't say it's there yet, but right now he's just a star based on his play. And so I don't think that's going to change with Zion. That might actually help him. That might give him a little bit more open lanes, more availability. He's been still aggressive. I think he stays aggressive with getting to the line. I think he's almost getting to the line 7 to 8 times a game. So I think that continues. Zion's not going to play that much. He's going to be on the court, but he's not going to play that much to affect Brandon Ingram. So you hold him, or you try to buy him from an owner that thinks that Zion's going to come into his minutes for sure. What do you think?
I'm actually going to be in the opposite way as far as I could potentially maybe sell him because of the minutes restriction. They're going to hold this prized possession with kid gloves, right? And we can already assume that he's going to be on a very strict minutes restriction for this week in particular. But it is a definitely good eyesight to see to him finally to grace the court starting this regular season. And I'm sure he's going to want to get more minutes the next couple of weeks. And maybe they may potentially unleash him. I don't know. I wouldn't be comfortable to say that would be the case. But honestly, in a dynasty format, yeah, you would buy him. That's when I would buy him. Now, for a redraft from points league, I might go in reverse and potentially sell him. Now, real quick before that, who is it going to probably, put a damper on? Obviously, like LT was said, it could help Brandon Ingram, but I think it may hurt him a little bit, as well as it's going to hurt massively, Josh Hart. Maybe, no, and here's the thing. Lonzo Ball has been playing very well here recently, so it's going to maybe hamper him, and honestly, it could help Ball. So, because Ball is not a usage rate player, so honestly, it could help him to get his assist rate up. But this is the beautiful thing that we want to see. But we have to also keep in mind, Drew Holiday hasn't been playing either. So I want to see all of these players play at the same time just to see what really happens. And in a points league, it's funny. Let me just go into ISO real quick and I'll pass you the ball, Jacob. Mm-hmm. Jacob, you gave me that crushing blow last night. I don't think I didn't notice that. I know you're very – you gave me that crushing blow last night. And it's funny because it was close. It was a good match, a good game. And the thing is, I tried to stream a guy. I streamed the wrong guy. I streamed LT's original guys, Bismack Biyombo. He failed me. Not only did he fail me, Terry Rozier's been hot in points league, and he literally crapped the bed on me yesterday. Good job to you, White Knight. I actually needed that win really bad, man. So that LT, as you're in that league as well, I think all three of us is really trying to push as hard as we can to get in the playoffs. I'll pass you the ball there, Jacob.
Yes, absolutely, man. I got super lucky. I checked my phone at the end of the night because I was like, I'm going to lose. And then I check, I'm like pleasantly surprised, Stark. So I appreciate you gifting me that win, brother. Thank you.
I wish I could hold that gift back.
Yeah, I know. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk about Luke Kennard. It says that he's not going to take the court until after the All-Star break, and that's probably not even a guarantee too. So this seems like a serious knee issue, and I actually saw this coming. I've been kind of waning off him. He's been out for quite some time. So I think, well, I'm going to pass the ball to you there, Starks. Do you think, would you hold him, or would you just cut bait and try to just stream that, or would you hold him if possible?
It would go by the rankings. So if in a redraft and points league, if you're in a top spot, and I'm just going to think of it that you're probably not in the playoff standings and you're desperate, I'm cutting bait on him in a shallow, maybe even a 12-man league. I wouldn't want to do it, but to be honest with you, it's at that time span that you can't keep getting those eggs or those zeros on the bench, right? You need to potentially stream that spot and get stats if you need to eke out those wins each week. Because if you're going to hold on to him, and if you don't have an IL or IR spot, then that's going to damage you. If you have an IL spot, go ahead and host him. But I will ask this, it's like, well, with all these injuries, you probably have someone else injured on your team. So you might not be able to host him on your team. So, I would cut bait. Dynasty format, I would do the bet. I mean, you're going to hold on to him. Would I sell him in a dynasty format? It would go by how the team build is structured. But that's my thoughts on him. Like I said, only for me to hold him is if you're top in the rankings. And LT, what's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at this point in time, if they're coming out with reports that he's not going to be healthy till after the All-Star break, you can't wait that long. There's absolutely no way. If you have an IL spot, perfect, put him in there. But definitely get him out of your lineup. And I would say in all leagues, maybe not in dynasty formats. Actually, obviously he has a lot of game left in him for his future. But in points leagues, redraft leagues, you got to get a positive body out there and go from there. That's pretty much it. I'll go over to you, White Knight.
Absolutely, and I will say as an added note, if Doumbouya and Bruce Brown Jr. is floating there on your wire, I would pick them up ASAP. So next up here, Larry Nance. I don't know if I could interest you in that, but with all this talk of Kevin Love maybe traded, there's a possibility that he could have a great second half if he is traded and Nance comes back healthy. Now that's assuming that the Cavs won't trade Nance himself, because he's about like 27, 28, and the Cavs are trying to get young. So he's a possible trade candidate as well, even though he hasn't been talked about. So I'm going to kick the ball to you there, Starks. Do you see his eventual return, which he's supposed to return within the next 3 games? Do you see his return hampering anyone in like a deep league, like a John Henson or like anyone else who's been playing well for the Cavs?
So, in a sense, and you're talking about, and I was having issues on my end. So you're talking about if Love was to move and Nance was still there, who would it hamper maybe on the team or?
Yeah. Like, do you see Nance as like a possible, like he's going to have a great second half, or like could he have a productive second half sans Love?
Oof. Well, it would go by, as you kind of, I think from what I was hearing, it looked like it would kind of go by maybe who would they get back in return. We have to always look at if Love was to leave, who would Cleveland get to fill his shoes, maybe potentially. But if they don't get like a solid enough player that get more of the younger talent, then you would think his value would go up. But I'm a little concerned because right now, Larry Nance is ranked 147th. Last year he was ranked 55. He was improving each year. He's has a tick of his steals going down. His steal rate is at 0.8. And to be honest with you, that's a little bit of a concern for me because, like you said, he's a little bit older. He's 27 years old now. That's still prime rib pasta in prime in NBA. But it's like you kind of said from what I thought I heard that Cleveland, it almost makes sense to maybe potentially move him too because they got to go young. It only makes sense to go super young in Cleveland as you guys can see, they're a wasteland team. But he could potentially, he could get better. But like I said, what's concerning for me is his steal rate because as a big man, he gets those out of position steals. And I think a lot of people, we don't talk about that in a sense. He was averaging 1.5 steals a game last year and he's at 0.8. What happened to it? So maybe it could have been with his injuries that has been going on. But if they don't get anybody stronger in return, I could still potentially see a solid bounce back the rest of the season, LT.
Yeah, if he can raise his minutes up right now, he's only getting about 24 minutes. If a good trade comes in, he's able to get 30 per, then that's beautiful. That would help out his value a lot. But he's like I don't laugh. He's like a poor man's Tristan, right? Yeah, Starks, she smiled.
Oh, don't worry, I won't laugh.
He's like a poor man's Tristan. So it's like why they're kind of the same player. So it's almost beneficial if Tristan and Love goes. Then maybe he has a little bit more area, but he almost fills in that same gap that Tristan does. And to be honest, unfortunately, Tristan does it better than him. So that's just my thoughts on it. I don't know unless if he can get a 30 per every night, I wouldn't touch him.
Absolutely, yeah, I definitely agree with that. So for my last bit of news, I'm just going to run through a few that I wanted to highlight, and then I'm going to ask one of you gentlemen which one you want to choose to expand on here. So we got Daniel Theus. He was a favorite streamer of mine. He's not going to play on Monday because of a right knee soreness. So that's a bummer because he was a lock to get you a block and some boards and points, but unfortunately he's not playing. So hopefully you're able to pivot if you did take my advice here. Drew Holiday is not going to play on Monday. It's going to be, I believe, his 4th straight game on the sidelines. Russell Westbrook, load managing season is here. He's going to rest on Tuesday so he can play Wednesday. And then Clint Capella is going to return on Tuesday, and Towns didn't play again. So I'm going to kick the ball over there to you, LT. Do any of those headlines, do you want to expand on any of those?
I want to expand on Theus real quick. I'm not Theus, I'm sorry. Cat real quick. Cat and Drew Holiday. Both of those smell. And they smell like people trying to stay off the court and stay healthy for a trade. That's what both of those sound like, to be honest. Drew Holiday, like I stated before, I think he may be being shipped out. He's kind of a luxury piece right now in that Pelicans lineup. They're not going to be, going for anything like hardware or playoffs. He needs to get on. He needs to try to win now. He's getting into those years of his career. Cat, I don't know what's going on with Cat, but man, he doesn't seem like he's very motivated to play. There's not really a lot of information coming out about his injury. And so, because I've been monitoring it, I've been like, man, where's Cat coming back? And it's not looking good. So I think those two smell of keeping safe so that they can be high trade. I think we might see a lot of trades this this season. But that's what I think, Starks.
Oh, man, what I think is you're starting to put on the glasses yourself, man, villain, man. You're starting to turn into it a little bit. Listen, it's funny because it's like, we have to be transparent and honest to the listeners, because it's like, you want to say nice things to players that, you have them on your team. You're like, you don't want to put them down because it's like, oh man, they're potentially hurt. They're questionable. But let's just be honest, man. As an owner or GM, you're feeling this pain, right? So you got to be honest. And as much as you guys know, I'm a big Cat backer, but this is not fun. This is not something I like to eat. And I would be a little upset and frustrated too as an owner and GM. So I'm not going to beat around the bush on the whole situation. Of course, LT isn't, so let me say this. One of the things I want to expand on, Jacob, though, is if there is anybody that I would be, and let me backpedal a little bit, because it's like, I'm probably going to hear it. Clint Capella, he's definitely a good player this year. Not taking anything away from him. And actually, he's doing a lot better than what I thought he was going to do this year. So, cahoots or congratulations if you drafted him. But I will say this: I'm the big guy that, as far as I'd like to get those deep players, and this Isaiah Hartenstein, man, like I would be okay for Clint Capella to get, because now his injury seems more legitimate versus Drew Holiday and Towns, right? Fine. So we would be okay. Well, maybe it's just me putting my heart on my sleeve, right? Because it's just like I want Isaiah Hartenstein to get more time on the court, because just like what me and Jacob had talked about, and even LT on the previous episode, Hartenstein, when he's on the court, that man produces, man. Mm-hmm. And I really hope somehow, in some way, and I know it's the realism of this happening is slim to none, but just give it a shot, And what I mean by that is try to have him and Clint Capella out at the same time. Just see what happens. That's all I'm saying. Try it, because like we can look at the Lakers, for instance. They got all those big behemoths out there now. You don't have to do the Golden State fast-paced offense anymore. Like, try something different. Now, as we can talk about, Golden State is a wasteland team, right? So the NBA's kind of changed. We all know that everybody's taking threes, and we know Houston likes to jack up the three too, but why not try to have those tower guys out there and see what happens? You can still jack up the three and then just get these guys under the basket to get them cheap bunny shots. That's just all I'm saying, but I'll pass you back the ball there, Jacob. That's all I got.
That was beautiful. I agree with both of you guys. So that concludes the end of the first quarter. That's all of the recent news. So I'm going to fast pass the ball right back to you there, Starks.
All right. For the second quarter, I'm going to do behind the back pass there to LT. If you have any trades or rumors in the Sage corner there, brother.
Yeah, just one real quick. So a quick second quarter here, but the Lakers have come out with a report that they are going to make trades this season for the trade deadline. They are going to make moves to make sure to cement their playoff run. They're trying to get the gold this year. They're not playing around. They're not joking. So they are going to be looking for trades. So I know last game Kyle Kuzma did really good, but you know what? That might have just drove up his price, or may have just added some little extra spice to the table. A lot of people thought, oh, maybe he's safe now that he did well. No. That doesn't mean he's safe at all. So I was just asking, I know Kuzma's are obvious, but I mean, what do you think on the Lakers is most likely to get traded? Do you think it's going to be maybe like a Danny Green, maybe a Dwight Howard, a Kuzma, a McGee? Who do you think gets traded and why?
It's funny. All these players right here, I don't think have any value except for Kuzma. Like all these players they're not scrubs, but like they are role players that play well with King James. Like all these players wouldn't be valuable to any other team but the Lakers, except for Kuzma, just because he's so young and he can score. So, like you said, Kuzma's value skyrocketed, and I saw some tweet of like an angry Laker fan saying like, you really want to give this guy up? And it's like, yeah, I mean, like he just helped you to not give up any more assets other than just Kuzma by having that huge game. Mm-hmm. It's like he's helping his stock right now, and he could blossom somewhere else maybe, like it could be great for both sides if that were to happen. The only reason, Danny Green is a 3-point shooter. Pope is a 3-point shooter. And then, like Howard, the Lakers were the only team to give him a shot, so like no one really has any value that's willing to be traded except for Kuzma. Now that's just my thoughts. I'm curious what you have to say there, Starks.
If you want me to do the justice to save your bacon and help you out, you're saying, they're not scrubs, but maybe they are scrubs, Jacob. Let me just help you out so you can be the good guy here. Behind LeBron.
LeBron James is just lackeys,
So, but, honestly, like I said, I only call players scrubs in fantasy just to be fair. Because if you're in the NBA, you're obviously legit and good. So I don't want to take anything away from an NBA player. But let me say this. Alex Caruso, the guy with the haircut, maybe he could go. But let me say this. Quinn Cook, he's one of those guys that he's actually not a bad player if he gets time on the court. For some reason, Quinn Cook just doesn't get enough time on the court, right? And Kyle Kuzma obviously would be the main guy to get what you would hope he gets moved. I mean, some people that are Lakers fans are like, well, why would you do that, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to it doesn't seem to make sense if you trade Rondo or Dwight Howard because they're veterans, right? So it's kind of hard, like you were saying. What can you get back in return? You would still try to package Kuzma with some draft picks if you're able to do that. Further down, like you're going to have to give up draft picks along with Kuzma, and then maybe you can get your prized possession, someone like potentially like Drew Holiday, right? They might get a guard. We know LeBron is running the offense there, but they could potentially get someone of that caliber of Drew Holiday or someone else, right? I'm sure. I don't know for some reason, and I'm not good at calling trade rumors or calling trades at all. But I don't know. It just feels like if the Blazers, if the Blazers don't do something like immediately, it almost feels like Lillard. I would not be surprised if Lillard gets moved. And I wouldn't say that this year, but it feels like it's getting close, man. I don't know. It's just a gut feeling. I hope that's not the case. But if the Blazers don't make any moves, it's just something you got to look at. And as far as the Lakers is concerned, with LeBron, it seems like they're going to probably pull the trigger and get someone on the team that's going to help elevate them against the Clippers out there in the West. What's your thoughts, LT?
Yeah, just to finish, good stuff from both of you brothers. Just to finish off, they do have a couple of assets. Now, just want to let you guys know. Remember, Pope, as I just showed our viewers here, he's only 26. I know he feels old, but Caldwell Pope is only 26 years old, so he's not that old to be. So he could still be a trade target for a team to add to another team. Kuzma, obviously, and Costas. I'm not him. The brother of Giannis. He is also a specimen. Also is raw as far as his talent is concerned, just like Giannis was. And another team may see what they saw in Giannis and say, hey, we want to kind of utilize that skill set, get him on the court, give him time, and he can produce similarly to, not like Giannis, let's not get over our heads here, but he can produce somewhat in that same realm, same type of player that Giannis is. So that's what couple of teams that are looking to really stockpile young talent may see some value in Costas as well. So that's who I'm thinking or who I see on the team. Other than that, like Stark said, just a bunch of old scrubs, pretty much. So fantasy scrubs, like he said, fantasy scrubs. Role players. They've become role players in the NBA. Yeah, they're a bunch. So that's what you got there. But that's all I got, man. And I'll kick it over to you guys, to you, Starks.
Yeah, we're gonna have to call them fantasy scrubs. Maybe that'll help us to stay face a little bit for the listeners. So we will transition to the third quarter. Third quarter, what we're gonna do is we'll touch up on a game or two, but I think I want to bring up some potential sell high candidates. And one of the guys that has been doing well here the last month that I want to bring up here, just bear with me. Because let's see. Oh, this one's an interesting one. LaMarcus Aldridge. He has been ranked as a top 17 player the last month of the season.
Crazy.
And hold on, excuse me. Actually, wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah. No, not 17. Actually ranked ninth for the last 13 games. So the average is as follows here. 19 points. Wow. 2.2 3-pointers a game. That's different. 8.5 rebounds, 2.7 assists, half steal, 1.8 blocks, shooting 51%. Field goal percentage, charity stripe, he's at 88%. Usage rate, let's see what his usage rate is looking like here. His usage rate is at 22.9. His usage rate has actually taken a dip this year, but he doesn't need the usage rate. So he's been actually having, I'm not going to say a career year, but he's having the best year so far as a ranked 17th player the last 4 years in fantasy. So I will ask you this, Jacob, because he's ranked, like I said, 9th right now. So that's first round value the last month currently. So do you hold on to him, or are you going to try to sell him to a different team?
Right now, he's so high because blocks are at a career high, which is super interesting at his age, that he'd be having a career high in blocks. Honestly, so at first it was like sell all your Spurs because they're not in the playoff race, but they're tied with the Grizzlies for the 8th seed right now. Although they're the 9th seed, just because Grizzlies have one more win, I'm sure they have the tiebreaker, but they're right there for the 8th seed. And I don't expect the Grizzlies to hold on to that 8th seed as the season goes. So it just seems like that 8th seed is up for grabs, and the Spurs will do whatever it takes to get there. And LaMarcus Aldridge, he's having a great year. So in a redraft league and a competing dynasty league, I'm going to go ahead and keep him. He's been great. And he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't have a lot of usage. Like he doesn't dribble drive, like he doesn't put himself in harm's way. Like he finds a way to stay healthy. He's one of those boring guys that I would love to have on my team. Just because he's producing like this, he's probably not going to get hurt just because he doesn't play that physical style. So I'm going to go ahead and keep him, Starks.
Pretty good. I can definitely see that. And if you are competing, that makes sense. LT, I will transition to a different player for you, but I got to give you the respect because I know that's one of your original Blazer guys. I just want you to just highlight on, how do you feel about LaMarcus Aldridge? And I just want to ask you, how do you feel about his career right now, man?
Oh man, his career overall, I feel like his career is actually very good. The issue now is that it's very likely, unless if he goes to another team, he's not going to get a ring. Like he should have probably stayed with the Blazers. I know it was around that time, but he probably should have stayed with the Blazers. They were growing talent. You just imagine that team with CJ, Dame, and LaMarcus Aldridge. That would have been a team. That would have been an amazing team to trot out there. But he was ready to go. I understand completely. But I love it, and I love what he's becoming. I don't know if you saw Starks, but his 3-point percentages are a career high right now, and the amount of attempts has gone up as well. So he's kind of, changed his game around. He's making threes. He made like 5 threes recently in a game, and he had another 5-3 game in that stretch where you're talking about the last 13. He had 2 games with 4 threes, so he's shooting the 3 at a high clip. Now, that's pretty much why his value is so high right now. He's adding everything else he usually gives you. A little down on rebounds, but that's because the portal is there, and but he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to bang down low to get those rebounds. The portal does that for him, and he's making it happen. So he's so boring, but he gets it done fantasy wise. So you love to see it.
Yeah, and let me just go ahead and say something on top of that. Yeah, the 3-pointers is an amazing thing because I don't think he's ever averaged in his career over 1 3-pointer in a game. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I know for the last 4 years he hasn't. So that is definitely something crazy that he's doing this year. What a nice boost for him. But let me say this, there's another player I want to talk about here. This one's actually interesting. Jaren Jackson in the last month is ranked in second round value. So he's ranked 22 with the averages as follows here. Close to 19 points a game, 3.2 3-pointers, 5 rebounds, 1.6 assists, almost a steal, 1.8 blocks, shooting 50%, and at the charity stripe, 71%. LT, I will pass you the ball here. If you had Jaren Jackson, we already know the floodgates that you probably want to go on an ISO ran on Brandon Ingram, but it's kind of like I just want you to look at is obviously we know about that, but if you had Jaren Jackson right now, would you, or if you didn't, would you try to buy, or no, excuse me, if you had him, would you sell him at this this value right now, or would you hold on to him, man?
No, I have him, and I would. I'm going to keep him because this is what I expected him to do. This is what I expected from him. This is the production that I expected him to output on a daily night. He has a couple off games. He's still young. I expect that. 15 points. Come on, man. But he had 3 blocks that game, 1 steal, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. He's an active young man, and he plays big at the rim, and he also puts up points. He also hits threes. He's, like I told you at the earlier part of the year, I want to see more threes from him. And guess what? He's been producing. He's been hitting more threes. He had a 6-3 game the other day. So that is what I was looking for from him. And he's producing now. So, no, I wouldn't sell him because this is what he's supposed to be doing. He had those injuries earlier on in the year, and he started off really slow. But this is what you drafted him high for. And so I wouldn't sell him because I would put it this way. If I were to sell him, it would be for Brandon Ingram.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I knew that was going to have to come out at some point. I knew you couldn't hold that. So here's another guy I'll actually ISO on, and it's Shai Gill, SGA pretty much, and he's been ranked as a top 20 player, so second round value here the last month. And I know that I've actually got some, I wouldn't say some flack, or maybe potentially from both ends, because some people had given up on him and said in the sense that his breakout season was almost like a facade, because at one point he was ranked 120th at some point in the season. He's improved for sure currently. I mean, he's 62 right now. I expected him to potentially be a top 50-ish player this year. I thought that was the right move to have him there just because of OKC. But OKC is playing actually surprisingly good with Chris Paul and the Rooster and Gallinari. So I will say this, though. Now, what I kept, banging the drums on is like, where's his steal rate? Well, at least he's starting to creep that back up this season. So that's a nice thing to see. He's at 1.2 steals this season. At one point in time, I think he was under 1. And I was just like, what happened? Because he can get you those defensive stats. He's not getting the assist this year. Obviously, it's Chris Paul. But the thing that's a beautiful thing for him this year is his usage rate has taken a nice bump. Now, it slowed down, or it seemed like it was at a very high tick. Slowed down a little bit, but you're still going to accept close to the 25 usage rate range. He's not a player that needs usage rate, but it's still a nice joy to see that he's again, one of the things I mentioned is pumping up the volume, and I had him in the article on newlifefantasy.com that he's shooting almost 2 times more this year than he was last year. So at almost scoring 20 points versus 10 points last year. He's hitting more threes. He's getting more rebounds. His field goal percentage it's taking a slight, hit. But as far as if I had him, now would I sell him? I don't think this value that he's doing right now at the top 20, I don't think that's realistic for him. So if you're able to maybe someone believes that he can give you that value as far as like a top 25 production or better, then that's when I would potentially sell him. Now in the dynasty format, no, I'm not going to sell SGA, but I'm just trying to look at it as if you're trying to win now, right? In the redraft and points league, I would see if I can get someone potentially better. So you might say, well, Starks, who could I potentially, get back in return? Here's one. This sounds weird, but we could kind of try to fuse it up. And I know this is going to sound really awkward in your stomach because it's not a sexy name, but we just talked about him. LMA, for instance. If you need a big man and you're winning right now, I'll tell you what, you could probably offer SJ and you could probably get him because there are people who are like, it's LMA, right? But what we're overlooking, just like what LT said, the 3-point shot that LMA is doing, that's the only thing he was really missing from his game. He does essentially just about everything else. He doesn't get you those assists, but you're going to still like what LMA is doing, right? And as a big, although he's not touching a 3 assist, that's being nitpicky, but he's getting 2.7. So that's not the worst. So, in that sense, if I'm going to win now, and honestly, if you can get LMA, I think you should try to do a 2-for-2 type deal because you might be able to juice that orange more to get another player in return because LMA's name doesn't stick out. The echo and the hype train is not as strong as SGA's name right now. So that goes in closing. Did you guys want to expand on SGA at all, or?
Well, I just wanted to quickly fact check you, Starks, on LaMarcus Aldridge's 3-pointers made. You are correct in that this is absolutely a career high. It's actually more than double his previous career high. In his last year in Portland, he averaged a half of a 3-pointer a game, and that was his career high up until now, which is 1.2 threes a game. So, as you said, he's having a career year, which is weird to say at age, 34, 35? What is he?
That's right.
34.
I think it's okay.
34. So, that's crazy, and I definitely agree with you there. But as far as SGA goes, I'm going to kick the rock over there to LT.
Oh, man, Shay. Hey, listen. The torch is being passed down as we speak, the baton. So keep your eyes glued for Shay because reports and Sage, this is a special of mine. I love to read articles. And one of the articles that came out is that Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous they're the closest 2 teammates on the team. And that Gilgeous has been really keeping close to Paul to learn his game, how he's, how he operates, how he's a professional. And so just be on the lookout for Shay. If he continues to, Chris Paul's a good study to be under. So just continue to look out for him. I actually like him. I'm a big Shay guy. So I like to see him do well the rest of the way.
For sure. And last thing I was going to say, just to reiterate, Dynasty format, no, I wouldn't try to trade him for LMA. But if you know that you have the chip chance, then you go ahead and plunge. But in redraft and points league, I'm going to trade SJ. I would rather have SJ long term, but that's just something to say. So we'll kind of go into. Actually, I'll pass you the ball because we mixed this up with the third quarter LT. And actually, before I pass you the ball, you could jump into that OKC game. Exactly. SGA looked like he had a very solid game tonight. If you want to touch up on a couple of games there, brother.
Oh, yeah. I was going to jump right into SGA's game. Can you look at this line, guys? 8 for 12, 2 snipes, 2 free throws, 20 rebounds. 20 rebounds. 10 assists. 1 block.
That's
triple-double.
How?
Triple-double with 20
Who is boxing him out
rebounds.
in Minnesota? Insane.
It's not Cat.
Not bad.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, he jumped in Drummond's body, man, with assists.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my goodness, that's insane, Shay.
Wow. So yeah, that's that. I was just, you Starks, you read my mind, and I was gonna jump right into that after that plug. Wow, what a game from SGA. If you have him on your team, you are just grinning from ear to ear. But White Knight, Rooster also had a great game as well, man.
Love Rooster.
Oh,
I was actually a huge Rooster fan back when he was here in Denver.
Nice.
Yeah, man, 30 points, 3 threes, 11 for 12 from the free throw line. That is music to owners' ears right there. Shoot, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I have nothing else to say about Gallo. He's definitely helping his trade value here. That's for sure.
That's for sure. What do you think, Starks? Anything from OKC you want to talk about?
Well, I'll say this: as you would call him, the shredder, Dennis Schroeder, right? And real quick, it looks like I got a report. So SGA becomes the youngest player in NBA history to record a 2020 in tennis game. The previous youngest was Maurice Stokes in 1950. So that's crazy.
Who?
Man.
Who? Right.
Exactly.
Like, who is that? Like, I could have sworn he was going to say Drummond, but I guess not. Wow.
That's cool.
So, no, just look at this game. There's nothing really else to see. This at least, well, Terrence Ferguson, it just bothers me. Just go ahead and deploy Hamidou Diallo. Stop messing around. But I know he's been injured a lot this season, but he's just another guy in a very deep dynasty format that I'm looking at. But as far as everything else, nothing really to say. Chris Paul, he pumped up the volume, but he didn't have the best game. But I'm glad SJ had the game of the lifetime here. I'll pass you back the ball, LT.
Yeah, if you want to sell them, right, Starks? This is the game to sell them off of.
This is the game. This is the game.
Well, Minnesota lost. Not surprising. Looks like I'm going to touch on Culver's ice cream because he's my guy.
There he is.
There he goes, 7 for 15. The most shots taken on the team, by the way. I just want to make you guys reminded, even over Wiggins, 2 assists. He didn't give you any stock stats, which he actually does, sprinkle in some stock stats every now and then. 14 points, 5 rebounds. So he had a decent game. But Starks, I'm going to pass you the rock on this guy.
I was looking.
Taz Reed. What do you think about Taz?
Taz. Yeah, Taz. So Naz Reed, this is, man, only 18 minutes. Minnesota, what are you guys doing? Like, I cannot take it. If you guys are going to just play this tank top game, just go ahead and let Naz Reed unleash him, man. Stop playing around. 7 for 13. Took 8 snipes, hit 4 of them, right? Assist. He got you a block. We like to call it slaps here around New Life. And then he got 20 points. And he came off the bench with 18 minutes. There's nothing more I need to say other than let the man play. If Towns is not going to play, Gorgie, Porgy, Jang, he's doing, honestly, I almost said him in the sell high moment because he's been putting up top
crazy
third round value, which is crazy, honestly. But not to say Gorgie Jang is a scrub because he's actually good. It's funny because we can talk about him a lot. They're not giving him enough minutes or Naz Reid. So I'm a little baffled with that. But Minnesota, I guess you're good with the tank top. So, I'll pass you the ball, Jacob, if there's anything else you see here.
The only thing else I see here is that Josh Okogie had 25 minutes, and he got you some nice stock stats here, some nice hustle stats, 3 steals, a block, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. So he's always one of my favorite streamers, especially now that Towns isn't playing. And so definitely if you, if you're looking for a low-end streamer who's getting minutes, I would definitely recommend that gentleman. But that's it.
Cool. Well, we'll go ahead and roll over to the next game here, and that's going to be the Pelicans against Detroit Pistons. Ooh. And we're going to go straight into the Pistons because Starks, looks like they're finally deploying your guy. What do you feel about Christian Wood and his performance tonight?
Free Christian Wood.
This is, this is what I expect if you give him the minute. And this is 25 minutes, right?
Only 25.
And I don't know why I feel like the last few games ago, they had Thonmaker getting more minutes. the game that Christian Wood had close to a double-double, 18 and 9 with 2 steals, 3 blocks. Efficient, well, almost efficient, but he was very efficient at the charity stripe, 6 for 6, hit 2 snipes. This is just another thing in Detroit. Like, Blake Griffin's not playing, right? You know, you got this Andre Drummond rumors going around. You got Luke Kennard not playing. Like, you know, this is the same thing about the Naz Reid situation. Just let the man play. I don't know what the issue is. I know he's getting minutes now. He played good the last game too, but I'm just tired. I'm tired of seeing the talent being buried on players like that is not better than him, right? Yeah. So I digressed. I'll pass you the ball there, Jacob.
Do him, booyah, man!
Yes, sir.
He got another start tonight. He played 35 minutes. Now, for me, it seems like Doumbouya, he hasn't found his fantasy game yet. He just goes out there and does whatever he wants. You know, like there is no a consistent, oh, he gets you this, and this. He just plays hard, but as he's playing hard, he gets you. He was a very efficient 6 for 9 with 2 snipes, 8 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block for 16 points. You know, the man just plays hard, and he's a big. I mean, like he's 6'8", I believe. So, you know, as a small forward, and he is powerful. So, I would definitely be looking his way, as we were talking about earlier, with Kennard not coming back till the All-Star break. If he's floating around in your waiver wire, give him a shot even in a 12-man league. And like I said in my article last week, if he's floating around in your Dynasty league, even if it's shallow, pick him up and see what happens. Do you agree there, Starks?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This guy, just like what LT said, what I appreciated LT because LT, like I said, he's not a prisoner of a moment type of GM. He almost borderline to that, at least what he used to be, that he would just dump a player that potentially has upside. But he is the player that has the upside here. You got to hold on to him because, as LT said in one of the last episodes, you got to just deal with some of the rookie inconsistency. Right. It's going to happen, right? And this is actually a solid game. And Jacob, a good point that you brought out here is we don't know for sure his fantasy, like what's his strengths is, but he puts his heart out there. And like you said, he kind of does what he wants. So there's going to be a time that he's going to really anchor himself in a way that we're going to really appreciate his fantasy game. And honestly, him and Christian Wood, I love teams that if you're going to basically, you know, it looks like what? They're a wasteland team. I love, that's funny because like I love wasteland teams, right? Because I want to see what player can come out. And that's probably why I'm so passionate about it, like Naz Reid or Doumbouya or Christian Wood. Like, let these guys play, right? So that is something that these type of players can anchor you at a championship, right? So that's something I definitely wanted to say. And LT, I'll pass you back the ball there, brother.
Yeah, no, you guys spoke beautifully about Detroit. The only thing I will say is that Royce is still getting it done. Rose is still getting it done. I just want to make sure that the joke's over about Derrick Rose. The joke's over. He is a legitimate fantasy force at where you got him at in drafts. That's all I'm saying. Anywho,
LT.
Yes.
What do you think about the Lakers trying to get Derrick Rose?
Oh, man, that's going to destroy his value. Absolutely pitfall his value. If he goes to the Lakers, woo. That's true. I would love that. Derrick Rose, this is a secret. I don't let a lot of people know that, but I love Derrick Rose. Like, I love those point guards that kind of, you know, I used to like Westbrook. Starks know I used to be a Westbrook guy. And I love those point guards who just like go after it, man. They're aggressive. They get into the lane. They do their thing. They they dunk on people. Yeah, get closer to the get close. I just love it, man. So I used to like Derrick Rose a lot. I want him to be great. And I want him to get a ring too, man. He would have been one of those like transformational players if he didn't run into all those injuries, man. So you want to see him do well. All right, we'll go ahead and move over to the Pelicans, and we have a Okafor signing, not a Mecca Okafor Starks, Jaleel Okafor signing.
Mecca Okafor.
You remember him? Yeah. All right, we got a Jaleel Okafor sighting. Is this do we believe this or do we don't believe it?
No, we don't believe this. Honestly, this is more frustrating to the owners, like to those that picked up Jackson Hayes. Right. This is another thing. I've been going to ISO rant. This has been an episode that I've been going to ISO rants on just about all of these teams that are potentially wasteland teams. Jackson Hayes had a good game last game. Why is he not starting? But I guess Pelicans figured it out because they won, right? No, they didn't figure it out. Jaleel Okafor, he's okay. He gives you the value. I get it. But, like, man, Jackson Hayes, you swing for the fences. See what the young talent's about. Derek Favors is out. Okafor is decent. He's okay, but the dinosaurs, as far as the dinosaurs, what I mean by that, the big man back to the baskets is almost obsolete. It's irrelevant unless you're like someone like Clint Capella and potentially Drummond. But, I mean, you could throw in like Jared Allen, some other players, but for him, it just didn't work out for him in the NBA. But if he does start, he could still produce and do okay, but I'm Hayes. Jacob.
Oh man, that was a great point you brought up. I mean, like Jackson Hayes was the hottest pickup, and all of a sudden they start Okafor. It's maddening for sure, brother. I'm right there with you. And what's crazy to see is that Lonzo Ball got almost 46 minutes. Mm-hmm. That's insane. And it looks like he almost got a quadruple double by getting almost 10 turnovers there. But hey, it's like 46 minutes. I mean, it's bound to happen. I get it. You know, he's a turnover machine himself, but he's still got you 3 steals, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 17 points. So, I mean, those are beautiful stats. Inefficient as all, but he still got you 3 threes. So if you have him, don't expect to win the field goal percentage or the turnover battle this week, but hopefully you're just punting those if you have Ball, right? But
listen, I'm going to steal the ball real quick. Listen, I'll pass you back the ball. The one thing that sticks out to me, he like you said, he jacked up a lot of shots, 23 shots. Like that has to be a career high. I've never seen Lonzo Ball. Yeah. He's so tentative. Like he doesn't take shots, but I love that. And I don't care if he misses shots, keep taking them. But go ahead, Jacob.
No, I mean, like that's all. That's that's basically what I was going to say. Just because Favors was out, Ingram was out, so they start Melly, Okafor, and each one more, and they still get the win. Just a weird game. Hopefully they can get healthy because I'm sure it wasn't a pretty game to watch there. So that's all. That's all I got to say about the Pelicans there.
Yeah, Piccolo did good too tonight. So you got 2 steals. 2 assists. He was efficient. I don't know how long that's going to last though. So I think this was just a DMP. I think the Pelicans were like, we're playing the Pistons. Let's rest some players. So I think that's more. I think that's more of what happened here. So I'm going to go maybe touch up on. I think we got one more game here. Let me check.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. The Chicago-Boston game where I gotta go on my word, right? Talk about Boston a little bit more. And guess who it is? It's the two-team tandem of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Again, putting the team on their back. 21 points from Jason Tatum. I just gave him my clutch shot, and guess what? He did it again. 2 blocks, 1 steal, 2 assists, 6 rebounds. 5 for 7 from the charity. And guess who joined him? Jaylen Brown, 5 for 13. Not super efficient, but aggressive. 9 for 9 from the charity line. 3 assists, 3 rebounds, and 2 swipes for 19 points. And again, that balanced attack from Boston, man. You love to see it. Anything sticks out on this for you guys?
You touched up on pretty much everything here. I'm just going to look at the bench here. Brad Wanamaker still gets the time off the bench, but Marcus Smart had a very good game with 33 minutes, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals. You love those type of stats. Hit you with the 2 snipes. Very efficient game. And like you said, I definitely makes sense to talk about Boston more. I think secretly this is another team I think we can kind of it almost seems like we potentially all like secretly, kind of like Miami Heat. So Boston is doing very well, and you got to respect it. Jacob, you got anything you want to add as well?
Yeah, I don't know why, but like I'm holding myself from laughing, from busting out, because like I'm looking at Ojalehi here. And,
semi-automatic. Yeah.
Like 13 minutes, and he only gets one board, and that's it. Like, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh man, you got the villain glasses on today too, man. What's going on?
I'm just
looks like that semi-automatic was jammed.
Shoot. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh man.
Other than that, everyone did their thing on the Celtics there. So we just moved on to goals.
That was sweet. Everyone did their thing. Except for Semi, right? Except for Semi. All right, we're gonna
automatic.
Good guy.
Oh man, out there Rambo hit nothing. All right, Chicago. We're gonna move over to Chicago, and Zach LaVine doing his best Zach LaVine impression with 9 for 18 shots, jacking it all up. 9 for 9 from charity though, 6 turnovers, but 30 points. That's what you have him for to score. And we have a Thaddeus sighting here, boys. I know he's been playing a little bit better recently. How do you guys feel about Thaddeus Young?
I actually no. Go ahead, Starks.
No, go ahead, brother.
I was just gonna say. Yesterday, somebody asked me Thaddeus Young was being dropped by a lot of teams because he had a dud. But I said, hold on to him for 1 or 2 more games just because he's getting the minutes, just because Wendell Carter's going to be out for the next 3 weeks. Just because he has one dud game doesn't mean that's a trend. Wait for it to become a trend, like 2 to 3 games in a row, and then cut bait. So, he proved that he's still valuable, even though he didn't get you those steals, which he usually gets. But I'll pass it off to you there, Starks.
You know what I was just thinking about, man? It's just like I don't know why I was going back thinking about when you was you put the glasses on for semi-automatic and all that doesn't exciting.
Rebound in 13 minutes, like what? Like he didn't even try it. Okay, whatever.
No, man. I think if one of us was on the court, we might have got at least 2 rebounds at least in 13 minutes. I don't know who are we though. As far as Thaddeus Young has been playing, under the radar pretty good. But one thing that sticks out to me is Daniel Gafford, and this bothers me too. I'm tired of this. Like I'm going hard on all these young cats because they should be getting more minutes, right? Chicago, their record, they're a wasteland team too, right? So Daniel Gafford, we know Wendell Carter Jr. is out. He only got 20 minutes as a starter. Was he in foul trouble? I guess he could potentially was. He had 4 fouls in his game. Yeah. So maybe that's why he wasn't getting a lot of minutes. But he's just another guy that is solid, and I hope they continue to start him. Kobe White has started to slow down as far as taking shots. I expected him to take more shots, and he just hasn't. Chris Dunn, he's getting the minutes. He didn't have the best of game. He didn't get no steals like we were accustomed to, but that's all right. Your boy Lauri Markkanen, he was starting to cook, and then it's like he's – I don't want to say this is who he is, but is it who he is, Jake?
Boston's a really good defensive team.
That's true.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
Lauri's not this bad. Come on.
All right. LT.
Uh-huh. All right, cool. Lauri's been playing great. Yeah. No, he's been actually playing pretty good. Is that a couch pick, Starks? Or we got a couch pick going? What?
What's going on?
Got the couch pick. All right. Hey, for our listeners, man, the camera just panned to the couch.
It's late, man. We're tired.
Panned to the couch. Like, what's happening? What's happening over there?
I didn't even mean to do.
Need some Gatorade or what's going on?
I think. Hey, man, I think so, man.
But that's all I got for the games, man. I'm gonna pass the rock back to you, Stark, man. I'm cool.
Woo. Oh man, this was a fun one, guys. Hey man, a clutch shot. I'm not going to go deep into it because this is just I think we just need to I'll just say real quick on a dynasty outlook on Wendell Carter Jr. kind of transition to Daniel Gafford for the fourth quarter. Just real quick, I'm not going to touch up in depth like I typically do, but let me just say this. Wendell Carter Jr.'s upside is still beautiful. It's just the only thing that's holding him back is obviously, as you guys see in his young career, is the injuries, right? He could be a potential top 50 player in Chicago. Give him about 3 to 4 years, and he could beat that. I think he could be, but that's just something to look at. Unfortunately, he's out, and Daniel Gafford is a potential guy. It's almost like you take off. You typically don't have the same guy on the same team. But if you take Wendell Carter Jr.'s mask off, it's almost Daniel Gafford secretly, just to give you guys a heads up. Not saying that's who he is, but secretly he could be. But Chicago, just I like his talent. Just like Laura Markin, I like this talent. Like Chicago has some pieces. It's just like how to put it together with Kobe White. So that's just something to look at, but I'll just leave it there. But since this has been a funny episode, I don't know why I took a picture of a couch. It's just one of those late nights, guys. So let me tie it in with this clutch shot real quick. Man, Jacob, I remember we were talking about in the last episode, 14-0 Texans was up and you were calling it like, although you didn't call you almost had the yards. You were 80 yards away, but I respect it because I think you still said that you had a feeling they would come back and win. So good call on that. Unfortunately, Baltimore couldn't follow suit. And you know what's crazy? Like, LT, I know you had mentioned the meme. You need to still send me that link. I haven't seen it, but I don't know. It's like, why is so many people coming hard? Like, they're coming after the Ravens hard. Like, I don't understand. It's like, it's like people, I guess they're saying like everybody that's a Ravens fan, like the bandwagoners came out and then they're putting these memes like, where's the Raven fans at? I just don't know why people be going in on tees. I don't know what that is. But I think that's really my clutch shot. NFL, I'm looking forward for the Super Bowl, and I'll pass you the ball, Jacob, if you got a clutch shot.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Yeah, I was thinking about that once I went. So after our podcast, the Chiefs went down 24-0, and I still said, don't count Patrick Mahomes out. Because there's plenty of game. Because at that time there was like 12 minutes to go in the second quarter, and from there on, they walloped them like 51-7 from then on. Oh my goodness, man, mercy. So it's going to be a fun. It's going to be a fun championship round. Now, I will say, my clutch shot is this fun conspiracy that I heard today. Now. In the NFL, it's the 100th year anniversary, right? And the first Super Bowl, it was the Chiefs versus the Packers, and now the NFL is trying to make the Chiefs and Packers game happen again for their 100th year. So the first one, and then the 100th year. Why not bring the Packers and Chiefs together? They're trying to orchestrate it in the background, and I just thought that was funny. It's a little bit far fetched, but it's also like interesting because the Chiefs were down by so much, and they got back in a hurry. Now that speaks to Patrick Mahomes, but then once I heard that conspiracy, it's like, some things did bounce their way, and. Like the Chiefs should easily get past I'm not going to say easily get past the Titans, but Mahomes can get past any good defense just because he's that good. So that's my clutch shot there, a conspiracy.
hey, that's a good clutch shot. But let me ask you this real quick, Jack. Do you think, the Titans, man, they putting teams out, man. Right. Like
Derrick Henry, man, he's a behemoth.
Hey, man, Derrick Henry.
He's a fast behemoth.
It's crazy. He looks kind of slow, man, but nobody wants to tackle that dude. That dude he's fast, though.
He looks slow, but like he's actually going 4.5 because he's so big, he's a tank. So, oh, man, it's going to be a fun game to watch, that's for sure.
LT, you got a clutch shot, man.
Yeah, I respect Derrick Henry too, and the reason why I just respect him is because who did he have to sit behind before he got the playing time? Who was the main running back on Tennessee?
Was it Murray? Well, not before.
Yeah, because
well, not this.
No, it wasn't this year. But there. What'd you say?
I think you're right, Starks. DeMarco Murray.
DeMarco Murray a few years ago.
Well, yeah.
Chris Johnson.
Chris, it might have been Chris.
Was it Chris Johnson? Yeah, it might have been. Was it Chris Johnson?
No, that was a while ago. There was someone. Okay, moral of the story is there was someone else that I don't think it was Chris Johnson. He was.
I think we forgot. We were.
I forgot who that player. Yeah, exactly. I forgot who that player was. But anyways, he was sitting behind them, and he was like, they were kind of sharing reps. And it was like, everyone was like, Derrick Henry seems like the better running back, but he was, Derrick Henry always came out, respected him, and said, hey, he's a veteran. Hey, I'm the second guy. I got to work for my time. And now just to see him come out now, I think about 2 to 3 years later down the road and just be this steamrolling engine that we all thought he was going to be. I love those stories where they just they wait their turn, they're being respectful, and then they come out and show up. Just imagine we have a Titans-Niners Super Bowl. Wouldn't that be fun to watch, right? Yeah, exactly. So cross your fingers for our Packers-Chiefs Super Bowl because it could be a Niners. It could be a Niners, Titans 49ers Super Bowl.
Would that be a better Super Bowl than the Giants and Ravens back in the day? You guys remember that?
I remember that one. I don't know, man.
With Tiki Barber,
I might skip. I might skip the Super Bowl if it's the Titans 49ers, man. I might take a leave of absence there. But yeah, that's my clutch shot right there. And I'm gonna figure out who this other guy is, man.
Oh yeah, please do that. Yeah, because that's make me. I'm thinking it has to be Murray or Chris Johnson. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh man.
What is it? It's not Deion Lewis. It's not.
Oh man, he's like a big. He was like a big running back too, man. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go. All right. Hey, listeners, it's okay if you want to jump off now. It's fine. It's just one of those fun end episodes. But anyways, you guys can follow me on Twitter. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, One Closing Hero. Go ahead and ask me a question, and I'll get you at a prompt time. Jacob, where can I find you out there, brother?
Right on, brother. Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Ain't Done Yet. And done is spelled D-U-N-N-E. I'd love for you guys to follow me, ask me any questions, and God bless you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Sage Network X. On Twitter, just show me any questions, any information, just let me know.
All right, guys. So with that being said, have a good evening, morning, afternoon. Take a ride.